Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then my number 2 is Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham
Oh
on
wow.
PC. This was really cool actually. Like I know that Chet loved Lego Batman 2.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the kind of dynamic between Batman, Superman, and Robin, and like the way that was explored.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of which I think really formed the sort of tone of the Lego movie. I'm almost certain that the people who made that film played these games first and kind of like and it's actually really cool to think of it like that, because this started as just a sort of like a sort of Star Wars, sort of like pastiche, just a really sort of an elevated 3D platformer that wasn't really much up to snuff, and it's turned into this like multi-tendrilled series of amazingly rich like homages to like films and the characters that people love. And I think that the Lego Marvel last year for me was probably the best one, although Batman 2 had the moment where when you take off a Superman, the John Williams theme kicks in the background, which is one of the best moments. This one so far, it takes the action away from Gotham and into space, which is a bit of an unusual decision, but more of an excuse to bring in the wider DC universe of characters, I think. Because in Lego Batman 2, all the Justice League are there, but they basically turn up at the end, and they're not really very well realised in terms of their abilities and stuff. Like Flash can run fast, but there's nothing very interesting done with the rest of them. In this one, they turn up almost right away. But it's actually got it's a really slow starter compared to Lego Marvel last year. It's just a few levels set in boring sort of cave and sewer style locations.
Right.
But it's just starting to open up, like, and the cutscenes are just starting to get really funny as well. And it really is exactly the same as other Lego games in terms of the way it plays, other than the fact that you've got a few new abilities and you have to think a bit more laterally about how to use them. So they've been in the game before, but you can switch between them instantaneously now. You've got like a sensor ability where you're sort of moving moving the puzzle bits behind this invisible wall, like an explosive. Kind of like an explosive ability for Batman, for example. He's got a jetpack as well and can like fly because he's in space, so he has to. Okay. Batman can shoot lasers now as well. I didn't think he used guns, but it's Lego, and and Batman isn't a real guy, so it doesn't matter. And it's cool, but it doesn't seem to have the same open world structure that maybe I'm just too early on to find this, but Marvel and Batman and Lord of the Rings had like a proper kind of like open world. Like they weren't true open world games because not all the levels were set in like linear sort of like paths that weren't actually within the open world itself. But this doesn't have that, so it really kind of leans a lot heavier on the kind of traditional Lego design of levels, and I'm not sure that's quite as compelling to me. I always liked being a superhero in an open world. I always thought that was just a perfect sort of match for that subject matter. But I am early on. I'm just 3 levels in, and I think there's 15 in the game, so it may open up. But I don't believe there is an open world in this game. But nonetheless, it's a bit overwhelming as a bit of kind of like fan service as well. And I don't think it's quite as effective as the other games, because I don't think people find like Green Lantern as compelling a character as they do like Hawkeye in Marvel, for example. Yeah. But I don't think DC has that familiarity. Everyone knows who Batman and Superman are. No one knows who Martian Manhunter is. No. If he turned up on screen, John, you wouldn't go, "Oh, there's Martian Manhunter, brilliant."
No, I've never heard those words put together.
Exactly, and it's marginally more interesting, like a Green Arrow and the Flash now, because they have TV series. Yeah. But even so, amongst quite specific audiences, amongst children. The first cutscene in the game has about 9 different types of Green Lantern appear on screen,
right?
All making jokes about their various powers, and it's actually slightly impenetrable, which is weird for a Lego game, because you're like, I shouldn't be confused by the story. That's either something's gone wrong with me or the story itself, but it can't seem to find a way to present that in a coherent way. Whereas Lego Marvel just had this New York where more and more characters would just join the story as it goes. Here it's just got a very big cast, and it just starts straight away. But so far, not enjoying it as much as Marvel or Batman 2.